Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. My name is Tara Douglas, and our special guest today is Terri Brooks. She's a longtime volunteer for the Sylacauga Animal Shelter, and she's one of the founding members of Feral Dogs of Avondale Mills, one of our local nonprofit organizations that helps the community reduce the number of stray and feral cats in our area by finding them homes and solutions for that problem. Thank you for joining us, Terri.
Thank you for having me, Tara.
So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay, my name is Terri Brooks. I grew up in this area many years ago, and I moved to Charlotte and moved back about 12 years ago, and had heard rumors about kind of what was going on with our animal community. And when the shelter started back up 6 years ago, I said, hey, let me go see what's going on there, and started getting involved, started volunteering, walking dogs, taking pictures of dogs, and it just kind of transformed from there into becoming a member of our rescue group.
Great. So tell us a little bit about Feral Dogs. Some of our viewers may not know exactly what Feral Dogs does.
Okay, so what we try to do is be an advocate for the Sylacauga, the abandoned animals that are at the Sylacauga Animal Shelter. So to me, that's kind of one prong that we do to basically try to get them adopted, to get them to rescues, to just basically do what's best for them and find them a home and advocate for them. The second thing that we do is offer low-cost spay and neuter vouchers to our community. So we'll have a sale of $25. It's coming up July 23rd to sell to the community at a discounted rate to get, their pets fixed, because this is a big thing, for our community to basically reduce the amount of unwanted pets in our community. Like I said, that will be July the 23rd at PetSense. We'll offer our $25 spay vouchers again. Spay and neuter both, for cats and dogs. And then our third thing that we do is help with medical emergencies. Okay. You'll see a lot of things if you follow our page, the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mills. If abandoned dog's been hit, or a cat, or so forth, we will get them to our vet to basically advocate for them and do what's best, for them health-wise, and then try to eventually find them a home or a rescue.
Great. And there's a number that I threw out last week on the show that in the 5 years that Feral Dogs has been helping the community, you've rescued 7,500 cats and dogs in this area.
Yes.
So I think that's a number that we need to get out to people so that you understand just how much they do. They work tirelessly to help this area. And we'll be touching on the different things that Feral Dogs does for the area in our different segments. But today we're going to talk about what I like to think of as Terri's superpower, because she is one of the fosters, and she is an expert in fostering puppies. So
yes. When
did the fostering program start with Feral Dogs?
Probably, and I started thinking about this story when, I was going to come on. But I remember it was the first year the shelter was open. It was kind of in the fall. And I remember perfectly Missy Turner walked around with this little 2-pound puppy. 10 puppies were surrendered, and this little puppy was just not doing well. And she said, somebody needs to take this puppy home. And I said, okay, I'll take the puppy home. And her name was Amber. So she was my first foster and stayed with me for a little while, fostering. And then when her litter, Carolyn had worked with a rescue in Illinois to get all the puppies going to their, to that rescue, I decided to let Amber go so I could continue fostering. So I gave her up after keeping her for almost 3 months. And she was opened the door to me fostering, helping to save her. By the time she left, she was 15 pounds. So from 2 pounds to 15 pounds.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So Feral Dogs, they foster dogs and cats, puppies, kittens. But how many have gone through? Do you have a number of how many fosters you've had with Feral Dogs?
I usually try to keep track of that each year, but this year I really tried extra hard to do it. And there's been such a higher demand this year than in the past that I'm already at 122 fosters have come through my house so far this year. Okay. Usually it's around 110. So this year has been extra bad, and we could really use puppy fosters.
Okay. So what can you do to become a puppy foster? What does that entail?
What we do is you can contact the Feral Dogs page or the shelter, and we provide all the supplies. You usually just have to have a kind of what I call quarantine room to separate the puppies from the rest of your pets, to basically make sure they stay healthy. There are a lot of diseases for puppies like parvo, coccidia, worms. All puppies have worms when they come in. So you need a space to kind of keep them contained. We supply a tarp, bedding, toys, a puppy playpen, and anything that they need, all the food, the meds, and then we can kind of guide you through, what to check for to make sure the puppy is healthy. And within 2 or 3 weeks after their second vaccination, we usually can get them to a rescue.
Okay. And then how old are puppies typically when they are able to leave for a rescue?
Usually most of them are at least 8 weeks old because they have to have, be to the second shot.
Okay.
So usually they come in between 5 and 6 weeks, and then usually 8 to 9 weeks they can leave.
Okay.
Some obviously come in older, and some can even come in younger. Sometimes we need fosters for bottle babies, what we call bottle babies, where they've lost their mom at 2 or 3 weeks old and they need to be bottle fed. Sometimes they're 4 weeks and just starting on mush. So that's kind of an extra thing that, you have to do with the puppies also.
So if someone has the time and they want to become a foster, Feral Dogs does provide everything that's needed for the fostering. There are no financial requirements of the foster themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do it through donations. We can always use donations, but we do it through donations to buy the playpens and the tarps and all the supplies that are needed to foster. Yes.
So if someone watching the show today, they can't foster for whatever reason, but they would like to help, you're touching on donations, what kind of things can members of the community do to help the foster program through donations?
Right now we have 75 cats and kittens in fosters, and I think around 20 puppies. Food. We can always use kitten food, cat litter. We can always use puppy food, wet, for both wet and dry for both. And they can always donate that. You can basically drop off at mutt cuts, which are a big supporter of us too, and they, keep our supplies there for our fosters.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned that these puppies go to other rescues. What is the process for that? And how do you find those rescues? What do you do to get those puppies to other places?
Basically, Carolyn and Mitzi kind of, handle the initial contacts, and then we can, help with that going forward. But the biggest thing is making sure they've had their second shot, making sure that we have great pictures, which are fosters we need to make sure, we have great pictures of the puppies, and then we submit them. And if the rescues that we work with and have built a basically great relationship with can take those puppies, then they will.
So tell us, you mentioned a lot of the different things that have to happen with puppies. Tell us a day in the life of Terri. What do you have to do for these puppies each day?
So what I do is, I'm very lucky. I work from home, and I know a lot of people, it's harder for them. But I wake up in the morning, I check on the puppies, I go in and clean, and then I feed. And depending on the age of them, they may have to get fed multiple times a day. So then some of them may get fed at lunch, and then some of them may only get fed twice a day. And then after work, I go in and feed and clean again. And a lot of it's just making sure that they're all eating, which is usually the first sign if something is wrong with the puppy, they stop eating, and making sure their, poop, their poop is firm, that it's, because that's a good indicator of their health also, is to make sure that they're having good bowel movements and they're eating and they're drinking and they're gaining weight, and that you don't see any, issues when it comes to that.
Great. So you have to have your eyes on them all the time.
You have to be just watchful of, do you see anything wrong? Do you, is something going on with them that doesn't seem normal? Are they not playing as much, and so forth?
So if someone is thinking about becoming a foster and they already have animals in their home, can those foster puppies ever be around those other pets?
We usually not until they are well into their second shot. Even running around your house can be detrimental to them, because you can, basically bring in parvo from anywhere outside. You can bring it in on your shoes, you can bring it in on your hands, you can, it may be in your yard. So we kind of request, we can't monitor all our fosters, but, we request that they, no puppy feet on the ground, that they're in an isolated quarantine area, to keep them healthy.
Now, how many fosters do you have in the system right now? roughly?
Puppy-wise, I think we're about at 20 puppies right now and 75 to 80 kittens, because it's, unfortunately, a lot of our rescues, can't take kittens. So they're harder for us to get to rescues versus puppies.
And how many people do you have fostering right now?
We have about 6, I think, on the puppy side, and Mitzi would have to, answer the question on the other side, but I would guess she has 10 to 12 probably kitten fosters right now.
And what happens if you have a pregnant mother dog come in? What is the process for that if someone needs to foster?
Well, we don't have, Michelle and Smith and her husband Stan took in a mom and pups, that were at the shelter, but we really don't have a lot of fosters around that can take those. But we do work with other rescues that can. We have a couple of great rescues. Christina's Road to Rescue, Amanda's, rescue. They help us quite a bit with those needs. And then even sometimes we can throw it out there that we have a mom and pups and have pictures and all the information, and can find even an outside state rescue that will find a place for them and then move them to their rescue.
Okay.
So,
before
sometimes they have to wait at the shelter until we do.
Okay. But before we go, tell us a little bit about the Last Litter program, because the big thing with feral dogs, of course, is spaying and neutering. And what can you do to help the community if someone does have a dog with puppies, to help them with future problems of more puppies?
So we started this program, it's probably when we first, became a group, the Feral Dogs. We're actually celebrating 5 years of being a 501c3, a rescue group, even though it's been around longer than that because of all the work that Carolyn did initially with, getting the 200 dogs that were at the Avondale Mill. But our Last Litter program is, if you have puppies that are 10 weeks or younger, we can get intake on them, get them vaccinated, deworm, flea meds, and so forth. And then our requirement is that you keep them 2 to 3 weeks until we can move them to a rescue.
Okay.
So, and then we work from there. So, but you have to guarantee that you're not going to give them away, that you'll let us know if there's any issues, that you'll keep them safe for those 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. Well, that's great. We appreciate you joining us today,
thank you.
And thank you for all of the hard work you do. You can, of course, donate for feral dogs, and like Terri was saying, with food, you can donate money. Everything can help. And we got some pictures of Terri's dogs coming up right here. Some of hers that she has fostered. But you can drop off those donations at Mutt Cuts. They're at 210 Calhoun Avenue in downtown Sylacauga. And you can mail, if you do write a check for a donation, make it out to Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill. But of course, you can contact them on their Facebook page, you can message, or you can email them at the Feral Dog of Avondale Mill at gmail.com.
Yep.
And yeah, join Terri. She needs volunteers. She says she takes pictures. She is at the shelter every Saturday.
Every Saturday, starting at 11, to get all the new dogs, and they get posted on the Sylacauga shelter page, and to give them a chance to get adopted or find a home. Puppies and dogs.
And thank you so much for joining us today. We will be touching on this subject over and over of different ways you can help and volunteer, and the community can join together to help solve this problem of homeless cats and dogs in the area. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for joining us.